always like to start each Monday of my classes at school with what I call the Monday Focus Thoughts, to get our minds wrapped around our highest sense of self, to remind each student that she or he has greatness living on the inside, and life isn't about what happens to you, life is about how you happen to the world. And kind of getting our thoughts and perspective on those higher thoughts will allow us to guide ourselves through whatever situation, through whatever the world hits us with. We can remain strong, full of peace, hope, joy, and love. All right, well, this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which really inspires me and speaks to one of my philosophies, is this: "It is so wonderful to our neurologists that a man can see without his eyes. That does not occur to them that it is just as wonderful that a man can see with his eyes. And that is ever the difference between the truly wise and the unwise. The latter only marvels at what is unusual, but the truly wise marvels at what is usual." Today in the woods. What Emerson's basically pointing to here is we get so caught up in looking for the, quote, unusual, out of the ordinary, that we forget every single moment and situation in the conscious, sentient, rational awareness of being is phenomenal. And we take it for granted because we're kind of thrust into it and it's how we have any experiences at all. But we forget we are conscious, sentient, rational things. You take this log or anything else around here, and it's not aware of its situations. And you might think that, well, the world's pretty scary. Maybe it would be best not to be so aware of everything. And I can see that, and there's some truth to that. I believe in really diving deep or elevating high up to get a greater perspective of what the simple phenomena of life and the aboutness of being is actually about. I got to spend some wonderful time with my son, Henry, this morning. We just played. We just went out in the yard and played. And through the eyes of a 2.5-year-old, I'm always reminded, my son teaches me so much about how the ordinary is extraordinary. We found a lizard, and what mattered in that moment was that lizard, with my son watching that lizard crawl on him and him shriek back, and then reach out for the lizard and gently pet the lizard, and then letting the lizard go on its way home. And then we wandered around to look for four-leaf clovers. And then we looked at cardinals. And then we pushed them around the yard in the wheelbarrow while I whistled Jurassic Park theme. And then we cleaned the toilet. And when my son cleaned the toilet, you would have thought he just won the Super Bowl. And he got a little plunger. And then he was so excited and cleaned the toilet, he had to run with the plunger out into the house and say, "Mommy, Mommy, Henry cleaned the toilet! Henry cleaned the toilet! Yay!" And I said, that's how I want to live life. That's what Emerson quote is about. My son is a genius. He's a 2.5-year-old genius because for him, the usual is wonderful. He sees wonder in the usual. The ordinary is extraordinary. I'm convinced that every 2.5-year-old is a poet, and we have to stop teaching that out of them. I tell my students all the time, each of you is a miracle beyond comprehension. You tap into the greatness on the inside of you, not about upon my idea of greatness, not upon someone else's idea of greatness, your idea of greatness. Discover it's always been there. You've had interaction with it before. It's your best moments. That was you. Not trying to be someone else, not trying to do what someone else told you to do, not trying to get ready for a standardized test, but express your greatness to the world, your truth. That's the wonder. And we start to back up in ourselves and say, what is this about? Nirvana had a song in the early 90s with a line that really hits me. It says, "Here we are now, entertain us." And it was a cynical take on that because it was pointing out that one reason maybe that we're so in the state we are is we're always waiting to be entertained by something out here. And rather than us waiting to be entertained or us selfishly hoarding back, I believe what really gives us life, what really helps us engage with the wonder of being and the aboutness of life and to use our sentient, rational awareness of this experience of life, is when we look out for the world around us. I tell students to recognize the greatness within yourself and then also recognize the greatness in every single one sitting around you and all the wonderful miracles all about you. And so I believe as we move into this coronavirus situation, there are going to be many individuals who are going to need much help. Not just those suffering from the physical effects of the virus itself, but in our process to protect ourselves from the virus, there's all kinds of additional psychological and practical considerations. Obviously, if people are unable to go to work, they're going to be unable to afford to pay for food, to pay for health care, and those are all serious situations that we need to think about and not go and hoard all the toilet tissue. I still haven't figured out the toilet tissue thing. We live in a world that's very old. We live in a world with so many people and so many different situations that nothing's guaranteed. Really, nothing's usual. Really, nothing is ordinary. Really, there is no normal. And something like this reminds us of that. And so I think we just have to lose that shock of, oh my gosh, what's happening, and realize it doesn't matter what's happening. I know who I am going to be as a human being, and I'm going to show peace, hope, joy, and love, because those are the traits that I believe bring about the type of world, the type of life that I wish to live in. But what I try to express to my students is, with all the uncertainties out there in life, let us go to our Monday focus thoughts, which I really mean to be our highest thoughts, and to recognize that each of you is a divine miracle beyond comprehension, full of wonder and greatness, and just tap into that and express it. And that's always going to be something you're discovering more and more as you just move forward. And most importantly, beyond anything, how to be kind to yourself and kind to others, and realize we're on this great journey together. And so that's my centering thought here on Monday Focus Thoughts. We start into the early days of this coronavirus situation, and share your joy, your life, your greatness as you discover it with others.
Today in the woods.